previewing, and then sometimes it takes a while. Condition. Okay, go live. So I believe we are. Let me see. We should be
There's like a
live. Yes.
15-second delay.
Yeah. So I think they say we are live. Maybe we can
Cool.
say a few words to check the audio. Condition. Okay. Go
Check,
live.
check, 1, 2. Hey, Tungsten 2, you can text me the link and I'll tweet it out also
Okay.
if you want,
Hold on.
for your
There's like a
YouTube.
15-second delay.
Yeah. So I think they say we are live. Maybe we
Cool.
can say a few words to check the audio. Okay.
Check, check, 1, 2. Hey, Tungsten 2, you can text me the link. I hear just a slight echo of my voice, just barely.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
it's there. Okay. Let me just share the link. So we are all. By the way, guys, audience, if you are listening to this, because we are all new to this new setup, so we take a while to double check stuff.
Yeah, this can be I mean, it just kind of has to be by the nature of it. This has to be a bit of a test run.
No, I think I set up in our group chat the link to for the audience.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but is my voice clear? Okay, I think I'll move to somewhere else. All right.
It looks like it's working, I think.
Yeah, I think it's working. So,
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, guys, this is my first OBS debut. But anyway, for my audience from my modding channel. So today, basically, I have my friends. Basically, I what we are doing is guys, I mod the Nerf Blaster. So I also have another project with my friends. I'm hoping to create a comic book project that basically is Nerf inspired, basically to sort of create something for the for the community as well as for myself. Okay, I really like this concept. So let me just introduce a little bit of my friends. If you are new, you have not heard about this project. Basically, I got to know Narwhal when he was having a campaign for his own comic book project. I think it's funded, and in the total is around 20k. Is it Narwhal? Yeah. So it's still ongoing. So I actually the second so-called installment of it, he released the campaign for more backers to come in. So it is in the description. And I also have Nate with me. He's the writer, and he actually worked with Narwhal. They have something called the writers group. So we came together, and then Nate actually came out with a part of the script that we are on. So we have been doing this for quite some time. In fact, we have completed, I can say we completed the script, and all the stream I put it under a playlist. So if you guys want to catch up what we have been doing, it's actually under one of my playlists. I'm not too sure I put the link in the description, but I will after this, so we can catch up what we have been doing. So yeah, some of it is quite fun. So and one of them is actually a read through of the script. So you want to take not afraid of spoilers or anything, you can actually listen to that live stream, and you get a good idea of what's on the script. So today we came back together again, just do a quick kind of catch up. If you can see on the screen, we have now. Oh yes, we also have a artist on board. There's Matt. Let me just show. This is his Instagram, also in the link, so you can see that his artwork is pretty awesome over here. So check him out. Yeah. So when you're free, you can check it out. Link in the description as well. Okay, now let me back to the okay.
Yeah, on my screen I have the first concept art of the champion, who's kind of the main antagonist of our story. Our story is going to be like about 48 pages, and we're going to try and crowdfund it next spring and supplement the page count, because 48 is a little low for like a Indiegogo. I kind of think I prefer it to be a little bit more. So there's another project within the writer's room we're just calling it the Magical Girls script. And so probably the first issue of that will supplement this, and then maybe a stretch goal we'll put in some making of and try and make that some quality making of pages. So it could get up to around 100 pages for the release in spring, but this story will be like 48 to 56, I say, somewhere around there. The script ended up being something like 34 pages, I think, and sometimes we don't format it for page count. So like it's like anywhere from double to 1.5 kind of in pages of script translates to pages of comics.
Yeah. Okay.
Making of and try and make that some quality making of.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I'm checking the screen. Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we were also talking about if we ever have a second installment, what we actually wanted to do. So when I read the script again, okay, guys, you guys should, I mean, to the audience, you should really check out the read through of the stream. Is pretty fun. So when we talk about the script again, we are saying that if there's a second installment, we really want to do a story on the champion himself. Yeah.
We want, he seems like interesting enough, especially when the art starts coming out, and he gets kind of a lot of jokes too, that he's a bad guy, but the fact that there's some humor based around him kind of makes him, a little bit, I don't know if you'd say likable or love to hate him or whatever, but a lot of the jokes too, they're kind of like visual, like it's like what, because the story's based around challenges. So he comes to Earth and any human can challenge him to anything and he'll beat them. And if all you have to do is beat him once and your whole planet will be spared, but no one can beat him. So like they challenge him to boxing, then he dresses like a boxer for that. And then if they challenge him to skateboarding, then he'll dress like a skater. So he's kind of just like, he'll envelop the role, destroy his opponent, and move on, and he's a man of few words. But we were saying before the stream, kind of like he ends up killing a lot of humans basically in our story. So he's sort of irredeemable. So even if he's kind of likable, we can't really make him a good guy or like that kind of protagonist. And we'll have our own protagonist still, but we can definitely do it kind of like a Treasure Island kind of thing, where even if he's like an interesting, likable-ish character, he's still the bad guy. So that's probably a kind of direction we're going to go with it for future installments. But for this initial one, yeah, it's a good little like one-shot kind of thing, self-contained. It ends, wraps up the story. There is a possibility to move on to future adventures, but this kind of wraps up the adventure on Earth. And like this, they'd call it a one-shot, but it's like a double issue one shot, basically 48 pages to 56, somewhere around there.
And I like the part whereby he will always try to dress up according to the competition. It's like that guy is like trying very hard to fit in, but he can't.
Yeah,
he totally do not need to dress up, but then again he tried, but he's like the kid that tried to fit in, but he can never do it.
Yeah. One of the advantages we have with the champion as he is right now is he never really talks. I mean, he makes noise and we kind of guess what he says, but we've never actually heard anything from his point of view. That gives us a lot of things we can do with him later, because we really don't know anything about him except that he's really good at sports.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we have the ambassador translates his screeches on the page. So he'll go, "Grah!" And the ambassador's like, well, I know, but still we got to do this thing first. And you're like, oh, so it's implied what his screech meant. And that's kind of funny. But yeah, for future issues, we could definitely the main characters will get a translator plugged in, and all of a sudden he's a lot more approachable or something like that. Yeah. He could even be like really well spoken.
Precisely. Even the ambassador, because he's like, I always imagine him to be a smaller guy than the champion, right? And a little bit arrogant, a little bit snarky. But the thing is, like, we also do not know any background from him. Could he be the previous champion? Could he be? Yeah. You know what I mean? So he's so arrogant, right? And also likable, but we do not know any background of him. Not too sure. Do y'all know about Senseiya? Last time there's the Zodiac kind of anime.
I have heard of it. I've never watched it.
Yeah. So one of the the characters inside is like the 12 Golden Saint. One of them is of course Libra, the constellation Libra. So he started off like a very small guy, a master. But eventually there's one part whereby he is supposed to be Libra, but he's such a small guy. How is he going to wear the armor or this? So it turns out that he's actually meditating, and eventually he's an old guy, but he actually cracked his shell, and then he actually becomes a very young guy and some interesting thing. Yeah, you know what I mean. So he is he becomes the almost like a very young person, and he wear back the suit of armor kind of thing. So who knows? The ambassador could be someone who is the previous champion. I don't. Yeah, so he is also a very interesting character. That's why I was thinking like, oh man, when I read our script, the next story that I think we can work on is almost like modded the champion, but no. But who is the champion? We didn't define who. I mean, in a way, that story could expand a lot. The champion, no? Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this whole thing about? This thing, the champion. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And if we really wanted to, I don't know if this counts as like cheating, but if we really wanted to redeem him, we could make that a thing where it's like, well, people who, if you die against the champion, you actually are teleported to a planet called, like Valhalla-esque, and we can go there and get those people that he killed back and bring them back to Earth or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh yeah, we didn't. Yeah, that's interesting. Yes. Yeah. So there are a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yes, Nate.
It was weird when I was when I did the draft of the script where where we really kind of dug into the ambassador and the champion. The funny thing was I almost didn't think about the champion at all. I was thinking entirely about the ambassador. And I don't know if you know what a televangelist is, Tungsten, but I was kind of like trying to write one of those.
Okay.
For the ambassador, and I almost feel kind of like the champion is just because like we have him dressing in all these different sports. I just feel like he's a really earnest guy. He doesn't really get everything that the ambassador kind of swindles him into doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's funny. Nate, can you talk briefly too about that in the process when we were drafting up this thing? It definitely hit a good evolution after your draft because we had centered on a little bit of a sense of humor that kind of came from playing it straight. And you can talk a little more about that. But
yeah, so we did a lot of the concepting and the theory crafting, and who did the first draft? I forget.
Richard. Yeah.
Richard did the first draft. And then Narwhal did a draft after that. And we had a lot of, the really solid ideas. Like Narwhal put a solid number on how long they had to do everything. He set a number on challenges, which I think I tweaked. I forget what the original number is. It was like 5 years. And I thought a nice round number would make more sense because there's no guarantee like an alien's year is going to be the same as an Earth year. So if we just said like 1,000, that would be for the best. So I went with that. And then as I was writing it, I actually did about a page and a half where I was trying to do Narwhal's sense of humor, which is very over the top, and I'm not really that great at over the top kind of stuff, not over a long period of time. I can do it like a little bit at a time. So I thought, what is, like, when I do humor, what are the kind of jokes I tell? And I like to be a straight man. I'm pretty good at that. So I remembered a manga I read a while back called Bakuman, and that is a manga about writing stories. It's very meta. And they talk about this thing they call serious humor, where all the humor comes from finding people who are just too serious about things. Like they're so focused and they're so serious, they come off looking very silly. And so that's what I went for when I was doing my draft of the script. And that's kind of how we got like these people are so into their foam blasters. They express themselves with them all the time. So they're shooting each other, at random points. And that's funny because it's slapstick. And at the same time, they're totally serious about it. This is how they solve disagreements and all this other stuff. It's like paper, scissors, rock, except they shoot each other. And so that's really kind of how that all started to evolve as I was doing that draft of the script.
Yeah, it's kind of the concept itself is absurd. But then playing it straight, it adds that humor that it's like because the opposite kind of wouldn't work if you can imagine it, like winking at the camera and be like, haha, isn't this such a funny thing we've thought up? And the way we do it is just kind of like, this is what would happen if this actually happened. Like,
Oh yes.
Everyone does to kind of take it seriously because it is life and death, but it's just like kind of a weird. The aliens, they say you can challenge us at anything, and so of course at first we challenge them the things you might think at first, like marksmanship or feats of strength, fighting, but eventually you get down to some of the weirder challenges. Like there's a woman, it's just like within the panel of the comic too, it can just be a one panel flashback panel, and it's a little gag where like at one point a woman challenges him to like not chess, but what's the Sudoku?
Yes.
Sudoku, yeah.
And he beats her. Hey guys, Matt Costin's in the chat. Matt Costin, what's up? He says, for some reason, the link doesn't work for me. I'm on mobile device, so maybe
on
that's
mobile device. I don't think the link will work on a mobile device. Yeah.
Oh, that could be too bad. Dang it. Well, Matt, we're glad to have you in the chat. Do you see we were looking at your art earlier? We all love it. I think, this is definitely the kind of project where it will kind of start making it a name for itself as we go, because we've been really open and transparent about the entire process, which is a little bit unprecedented. Maybe like we can actually go all the way back to the writer's room when we're start the writing process, like last January, last February, something like that.
Yeah.
And then it goes all the way through to various brainstorming sessions, then talking, then art updates, kind of what we're doing now. And Matt's one of the higher profile artists in Comicsgate, super talented, and I'm going to color his work, which I'm really excited for. So it's a good team up. And people will start seeing it, and kind of, I bet, looking back through, kind of checking in some of the previous videos of how we started developing it and stuff.
Yeah, so we maintain a playlist, like I say. So the very first episode is me going through all the different blasters and what they can do, and then we actually move from there. Yeah. So in fact, I've even modified a blaster right in front from start and means from start to finish. Remember the other time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Woo. So we are actually planning for I think the timeline we are looking at like April kind of thing. Yeah. So we see how it goes, and hopefully everything will be fine. And then we probably do a very regular update, like maybe once every 2 weeks. Yeah, Noah? Now?
Yeah, we'll kind of shoot for that. Just kind of checking in, sharing art, talking about it, and then just kind of hanging out. Like people can see you mod some nerf, because that's a big inspiration of what this project's about. So that's one thing I was going to say too, is this project there's a little, I don't know if you'd call it a subculture or like a subgenre of Comicsgate, is anything that can bring in more people into the comics fandom. So we like crossovers of interest. So one, like Ethan tapped into the Star Wars fandom, the fandom menace, and brings in new people, new possible customers, new people to the community. We're all having fun, And so like, that's cool. That's awesome if you're able to do that. And this is a cool bridge between the Nerf modding community and the comics community. So we're acting in some sense like ambassadors in that sense, and we're hoping to, get if it boosts the possibility of success, or if it just brings in more customers, something like that.
Oops. Yeah.
Matt says, "Sup guys, I shared the link /vid on Twitter." Thanks, Matt. Nice. Yeah, it says 4 people in here right now. So that's cool.
Oh yeah, guys. People in the chat, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me or anyone. I mean, it can be I don't know, even modification things. I'm sure you guys will be like, what is me? What am I doing here? Like, so we're actually working on a comic book project. That's why I have my friends out here. Yeah. Okay. Let me check. Is there anyone talking about anything? Oh, Senpai Tron. Is it? Yeah. Let me see who else is in here. So for watching, guys, feel free to say hi. The 4% or ourselves.
Yeah, it's just us. No, it's cool. It's good just for documenting it, and there's this little mini stories. I got banned from streaming for 3 months, like 2-3 weeks ago. So I'll be back streaming eventually, but it's kind of a bummer. It was a copy strike. and I kind of like mishandled how to deal with it. I like was too hasty because I immediately searched what to do, and it said don't delete the video because that won't end the copy strike, and I already deleted it. And I was like, dang it. And then they said if you want to challenge it, you need to go to your own video, click into it on YouTube, and there's a button you can click to challenge it. And I was like, well, I can't do that because I just deleted it.
Yeah. It's not an intuitive process at all.
Yeah, it's at least, well, now that's happened to me once, it won't happen again. But the other thing, I guess it's works for them a little bit what they do, but they got me, I'll be basically walking on eggshells. I'm not going to show any footage from other YouTube channels anymore on my live streams, which is kind of a bummer because there's lots of possibilities. What I was doing when I got into trouble for it was I was watching movies on YouTube and just talking over them, like just doing commentary. And they were all like public domain movies that are on YouTube and hadn't been banned from YouTube, but so it's kind of weird that they ban me, but then not ban the movie I was watching, you know. So that was what confused me. But
so did someone send in the copyright? Probably someone send in the copyright strike or something like that. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how it works, man. By the way, so how many days left before you can?
It's still like at least 2 months, I think.
2 months.
But so
yeah. You have to, if you feel free to let me know if you need to so-called run a magical girl sort of catch-up kind of stream on my channel. You can use my channel, man.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I might do that if I need to.
Yeah. So if you need to, you can do that.
Yeah, with that too. So that one is kind of like, so Tungsten paid a commission to the writer's room for writing the modded script, which he owns that 100%. And then the writer's room, we wrote the first issue of the Magical Girl script, but we do have it kind of outlined enough that we're not lost on it. And that one, so the funds from that commission are going to pay an artist named Deputy Rust on Twitter. He's a cool up and coming artist. He's got a real like interesting style. It's kind of like animated-ish, kind of like mine a little bit, but I like it a lot. So I'm working with him with some of those funds, and we'll eventually have 10 to 12 pages there, and then it might kind of sit and chill until the eventual crowdfunding. So we'll see how that goes, but yeah, I'll share those eventually when the time comes, because I think we got 6 so far done. We're working on the 6th, something like that. But
who are the creators on it? I can't really remember that.
On the Magical Girls? Yeah, so like within the writer's room, there's 8 Magical Girls in the story, so there's 8 people put in a character, but I'm trying to think. So it's me, Nate, Richard, then Vaughn and Cal, who they both won that writing contest for Graveyard Shift, so they're kind of high profile writers in Comicsgate. And then the dude from what's it called? Anyway, sorry guys, but there's a few others, and sorry if I forget anyone, because I just look at the list and we're all there. But the thing is, yeah, we haven't done a writer's room stream in like a few months because we it's a little bit like at a dead end until we want to do more. And when there was something that happened too was when Nasser and Donnell got in their like fight over who owns the IP of Brutus, that kind of made, I think everyone kind of took a step back and was like, ooh, this is a possible conflict. Like, and there was another one that surrounds Nasser too, is kind of funny. It was Ben Henderson was threatening to sue him for using his likeness in the comic, that was a tier on the comic to pay for. So that confused me, and they eventually wrapped that up too. But so some of these fights sort of make me roll my eyes or get annoyed, you know. But it's like I want to avoid that crap as much as possible. So within the writer's room, kind of the way we have it now, we have one IP to kind of divvy up between us. That's a little bit confusing. So what we settled on is, I'm gonna own it, but I'm kind of just gonna share it. So I'll be the one with like what do they call it? Like the curator of the estate or whatever. And so that's settled for now. But going forward, like, because I was thinking like the writer's room's great for brainstorming and developing projects in the early stages, and then in the later stages, someone needs to kind of sit down and do the real work. I'd call it a little more work than just kind of fun brainstorming. Then that's like with the the modded script, it was Richard did the first draft, and then Nate and me did everything. So the actual writers is kind of limited, but then the people who helped us brainstorm it was all 8 people in the writers room, which we benefited from and appreciate it. And so if someone wanted to bring something new into the writers room, like I would encourage it and it'd be fun. And I've been wanting to do it myself, but I'm slightly hesitant. I'm sure everyone is, because you're just like, does it make it weird with like who owns what? Or if someone gives an idea, then do they feel bad if you take their idea and they're like, hey, I actually kind of wanted to use that idea myself. So it's just a little bit more complicated than I initially thought. It's sort of like the concept of the writer's room. It's kind of hit a little bit of a mini dead end because of like the legal stuff. It's already kind of at that point where people are not sure how to proceed with it.
Yeah. I had wondered some about that as I first started, because I studied freelance writing in school, and we actually had to take an entire course on the legal side of writing. And it was something that was like in the back of my head, but I wasn't sure like how much whether it would ever be anything other than an academic question, like how far we were going to go with publishing anything. Like I was looking at it as just a way to kind of exercise those writing muscles, because if you don't use them, they get weak. And also the brainstorming is great too, and it's very hard to make a legal claim to just brainstorming stuff. But it is tricky.
Yeah.
I think the clean way for Narwhal will probably, the writer's room will always hold the IP in a way. So I don't know. Probably.
Yeah. Just making it eventually, if I reboot it and try, I'll make it extra clear. And then at least you're headache free. And I think people won't mind too much, especially if you're like super clear from the beginning. Because if I was in that position to say, I wouldn't mind jumping in, helping someone brainstorm on their project, where any idea I put forward, it's theirs to take, in that room. That's kind of like how brainstorming for Marvel used to be, where like you would hold back certain ideas. Like Todd McFarlane, he deliberately didn't put Spawn in the Spider-Man universe because he knew Marvel would own it then, So he had that idea way before when he was working on Spider-Man, and he just wouldn't give him that idea. He just kept it to himself. And like that's kind of a decent system if you're clear about it up front. So it's like in writer's room, say we're going to help, like, I don't know, like just I have a script even. So say I put forward a script. I'm like, hey guys, I got an early idea. I'm having trouble developing it a bit. I could use some help brainstorming. If anyone wants to do a brainstorming sesh, just know going in that if you jump into this hour-long stream to help me brainstorm, it's just going to be my script at the end, even if one of your good ideas goes into it. And people be like, okay. And that can filter around to anyone, Anyone can claim to own that stuff.
And Pete, you can... It doesn't really cost anything to credit, people who, assistant or special thanks to line, with the writer's room and the people who helped out.
Yeah, something like that.
By the way, Noah, are you thinking of sort of like registering some company or something like that? Maylin always talk about it. John from Maylin, like
I have an LLC called Narwhal Books, and that's. So I have that, but I don't know how much that overlaps necessarily with the writer's room yet. I haven't done anything like that. Oh, Nate, do you feel like talking and pitching at all, talking about your script Hexwood? I'm just that's
I heard Noah talking about it, that is our the secret what's that? Blockbuster something like that.
So one idea is like that could be something in the pipeline that we try and filter some funds to, because it's a good script that's just sitting there. It's already written, like Nate wrote it, and that isn't written in the writer's room, that's just his script. But because he helped so much with this script, it could be cool if we could filter some funds to him eventually, if this comic is very successful. That's what we want to do. Besides just like, I don't know if we want to, a lot of times people would just get paid for their work and then it's their decision to filter it back into their project. This one, because the actual script, the writing, we got paid for that within the writer's room, a contract, and that money is actually going to pay Deputy Rust for art for the Magical Girls script.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nate.
Okay, so the elevator pitch for Hexwood is it's cowboys and wizards. It's a story set in a fantasy world that is much like the American Old West. It's the first chapter, Dust and Ashes, is about the murder of a mine owner and the sheriff who has to try and catch the guy who killed him. And it's pretty straightforward, but it gets a lot more complicated from there. Um, it's got a lot of history to it. It's got a lot of bargaining with dark forces and strange creatures. Um, and like I don't really dig a lot in the first book into the mechanics of the world, but it's a very different world just in the way things work physically. Um, to the point where like trees can actually, when they get big enough, they become intelligent and they start moving themselves around, and they'll squish people if they try and cut them down. So it's a more dangerous world too. But most of the story is about the sheriff trying to run down a famous train robber by the name of Frank Dugan, and of course he kills Sam Jenkins before the beginning of the story, and so they need to bring him to justice for this murder. And they have a problem though, in that Frank is a certified hero, and hero in their world means you can't beat him in a straight up fight. Like heroes have to be taken out either by magic or by trickery. Those are the only ways to stop them. There's basically a physical law that says a hero cannot be outfought unless it's by another hero, and they don't have one of those just lying around. So it gets very complicated because this is they're on the frontier. It's out in the west. There's not a lot of people around. There's no order of knights or anything like this. There's just a bunch of people trying to make a living, and they have to catch this guy because they don't know what he's capable of. Well, they know what he's capable of, but they don't know what he's trying to do. And he's shown that he's willing to kill people. So yeah, that's the story in a nutshell.
Cool, some good intrigue there. So when you say hero, it doesn't mean that he's a good guy.
No, well, it could, because in order to be a hero, you have to have a cause you believe in. But if you're on the wrong side of that cause, oh boy, you don't want to be there.
Yeah, gotcha.
So is this one a shot that have a definite ending, or it's going to be like a few parts series kind of thing?
It's going to be 3 or 4 parts. I'm
I
not
see.
entirely sure how long yet. Because I know what the beginning is going to be, and I know very clearly what the end is going to be. The part in the middle is a little squishy.
Gotcha.
Any
timeline plan for this project or anything?
Well, it's going to depend. Like at the very earliest, I would look at running a campaign for it next year. So yeah, not anytime soon. I'm tinkering with doing maybe doing the art myself. I'm not the greatest artist, although I have been practicing a lot over the last couple of months because I would like to do it myself. I actually, fun story. Narwhal often says it's the throwaway projects that you don't think anything of that turn out to be something you really like. Well, I started Hexwood as a throwaway project. I just wanted to do a comic to get better at drawing, and I wound up doing a whole lot of writing to back it up. And so
yeah, that's funny.
I may do the art myself. I am open to working with an artist, of course, because even if I did the art myself, I work full time, so that would really slow down, my production schedule. But yeah, it's chugging along. I've actually been talking with Professor Geek about doing a pass on the script. So we'll see how long that takes.
Oh, nice.
This also sort of like make me thinking. Now as of now, I saw a lot of those campaign being run, and then a lot of people will go on to streams, various streams to so-called, promote their stuff and whatnot, right? So I imagine a time whereby this might change. Like for example, for us, Noel will have like maybe Magical Girl launch, and then myself modded, and then there'll be like, I think, Noel, you still have another one that involve got guns and whatnot, right?
Yeah, Foreign Agent,
So we
the black
have,
and white one.
yeah. Actually we already have like a panel. Imagine if we were to launch it like 2 campaign in 1 week, and then the next week we have another 2 campaign. Sort of, it's always this group of people, and we sort of like always have a kind of combined stream that we go around each other's channel and do updates and whatnot. It becomes like a scheduled show or something like that, rather than you hopping. Of course, hopping around, you still need to do that, but there is a so-called during the campaign, there's always this sort of panel that will be there for this entire campaign, maybe once a week, for like a show kind of thing, rather than you have to keep people keep I don't know. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Kind of like just
This
almost like a TV show, right?
yeah. It's like this
Yeah,
group
like a
of
weekly
people
update.
yeah. So you can really every week, and somebody will hit certain stretch goal or something like that, or there's some interesting update. We will always find it in this campaign show during these 30 days kind of thing. And you can even think of some fun way of advertising. Like for example, during this show, you might be giving away some original kind of sketch card that's this small or something like that. During the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
definitely.
Yeah,
make
that
a
could be
show,
cool.
make a show out of, like, we have a group of 5 guys running this campaign all almost at the same time. So it's like, if you tune into it, we will have some things for you as well, even for you already backing it kind of thing, or not. When you're not even backing it, you just come in, have some fun, and then you enjoy the show, find some info, as well as a chance of doing something. Like for example, might have the drawing quarter, something like that. So for that campaign, it could be a drawing quarter for the characters from the campaign, right? Just during that, and then at the end of the day, the prints will be given out or whatever, then you can collect all this original artwork. Who knows, for each campaign, some of them will be the tiers for people to back to get those things. I believe you can add tiers as and when you go along, right? I'm not too sure, I didn't look into it. So imagine
I think you can, yeah.
So imagine if there's a show. Imagine if one of the activity so-called is like a drawing quarter for those characters that appear in these 5 campaigns that as a group. For that week alone, you have like, if you have 5 artists, you have 5 original artwork to post out on your tier to be offered, and the prints will be given out to those people who participated in that so-called show, right? And prints, you can print a lot more in a way. And the way they can receive the print is just tell me your contribution ID. I'll record it down when I send out the so-called your backing itself. I will just tag along with it. Yeah, something like that. And the size of the print is probably the size of the comic book, so you don't need to so-called make it 11 by 17.
11 by 17. Yeah.
So it's like a fun kind of interaction. You get something even you've already backed it. You enjoy it. Then of course there can be other activities along the way. Like I say, a very small sketch card during a show or something like that, or even whatever we can think of. So it's like a campaign marketing kind of program that people can find immediate information, as well as enjoy the show, get something in return, just have fun. Yeah.
You could trading cards have been really popular in a lot of the last Kickstarters, and you could like you could have each of your different campaigns like pool their characters into a single trading card set.
Yeah, precisely. So there are a lot of things you can do when you are in a so-called group, especially yeah. I think we can think of normal we can and us we can think about all these things, see who is interested and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just yeah. I would like to see that. Maybe it's just my own wish list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No,
that's a
I
good
think
idea.
that's it could definitely be a fun experiment, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh. Soldering. I didn't open up my I didn't open my window today. Yeah, because it's going to be noisy. So man, I'm gonna lose like 5 minutes of my life again. Breathing in all the fumes. Yeah, bring it to me. Yeah. Oh, things I do. Oh my god. Well,
That's funny.
at least I don't smoke. So yeah. So I guess.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
But I do drink.
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe
You
next
need to put
time.
like you need to get one of those little desk fans and just have it like blowing right across here.
Yeah,
Take those fumes away from
I
you.
should. But I couldn't. Actually, I do have one, but it requires some USB thing, like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the USB is too short. Anyway, I'll set it up next time. Oh, okay. It's pretty hot. How long have we been on the show? Oh. Let me see.
41 minutes.
41 minutes. Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Oh, Noah, what are you actually working on?
Matt, I'm working on a commission for Passion for Drawing for his upcoming campaign. I forget what that one's called, but it looks really interesting.
Huh?
That's another. It's like a fantasy one where he definitely has tons of lore, a lot of work put into it, and so he's doing sketch cards, and so he commissioned me to do one character, and it's kind of a God of War type old man with a beard and a spear. He fights a bear. Is his big backstory. He has tons of scars. So that I'm just kind of chipping away at that right now. Matt Costin in the chat, he says, because he's been hanging out. Thanks for hanging out, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm getting a new computer next week, so I'll be up and running by then. And he says sketch cards. Yeah, sketch cards, they're so fun. I think they're kind of expensive, but they're so fun. And I think of that, like they're fun to own and collect. And you can imagine if eventually there's just a bunch of Comic Skate sketch cards that isn't even an official thing. It's not like you go to the store and buy Comic Skate sketch cards, but just like, hey, I've been getting the sketch cards for 100 different projects over the last 5 years. So I have these. It's a kind of a super fun thing to own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
It's like
yes, Nate.
Peter Cimetti from Alterna, like he is always making sketch cards, and people really like them.
Yeah.
Because he always seems to have a backlog. He's always posting to Twitter like, yeah, I just did these 3 sketch cards for this guy. And
yeah.
But so I also want to say that if it's a sketch card, hopefully is there like an official kind of dimension to that kind of thing? You know what I mean? I'm not too sure about all those things.
I think it's like about the size of an index card.
Okay. Yeah, because now the only sketch card I received was the from the graveyard shift, I think, as well as Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, I got one of those too.
Yeah, actually I look forward to Ethan's sketch card. I mean the trading card as well. Yeah. Okay, where am I? Okay, maybe can I just do a quick show of some of the things I'm working on for my viewers? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been staying here for.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm soldering something, but also doing some 3D modeling. Let me just switch the view, and also I want to test the OBS. Can I switch view? Kind of thing. I do some other layout. Let me see. Yeah, can you see? Now it's switching to my view. Alright, so for my viewers who have been staying with me, so I'm working on a Rapid Strike again, and actually I started to mod some 3D models. I haven't released this. I released some of them. So this is a cosmetic kit So I'll release them as I go along. So it goes here, and then it goes here. So you change the look of it. Then this will goes here as well. So so this is something to reward you for staying for 40 over minutes to get a so-called a sneak preview, and I make another one of this, which actually locks the battery tray as well. And I go in here, so it goes in here. So now I change the look of the top over here. So these are the 3D design that I'm working on. Will be released eventually. Then of course there's something over here. I'll go here. Yeah. So this is what I'm working on for the front part of the blaster. Then eventually there'll be, hopefully, I'm not too sure, maybe I'm too tired, I might make something for this portion to make things clear up. But of course all this, I think I'm gonna paint them all. Yeah, so it's good. It's gonna look better in a way. And again,
Nice.
I'll release them on the Thingiverse. So these are more of the cosmetic kind of addition to the whatever I'm doing. But this actually act as a lock for the battery tray, which I got the idea from another modder, Mr. Nathan. Yeah, in fact, because I saw that so-called video that he did, he didn't do a 3D one. He make it out of something else. So I wanted to do that, but so that's when I took up 3D modeling actually. So I have zero background, and then that's where I started. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it looks
For
good.
something you have no background in, you did a great job. It looks nice.
No background. Yeah. So this one is another one that was experimenting on it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to try, you can do it. I got no background. I just watch a bunch of YouTube videos, and here I am doing 3D modeling for all the mods. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think I'll switch it back to the other scene.
Nice.
OBS is not too bad.
Yeah, once you get it, I was kind of accidentally doing it all these years. I haven't been doing Hangouts on Google, so all my Hangouts are through OBS. So I already knew how to do it. But once they kill Hangouts completely, I'll have to refigure some stuff out.
Oh yes, what happened when they kill Hangout completely? I think they want to change it to some commercial thing that you have to subscribe to use, right? Some Google Meet chat or something like that. I'm not.
Yeah, it's gonna be lame, whatever it is. I'm gonna be a boomer as soon as that happens. I'll be like, I don't like change.
Yeah, and I check out. It happens that it so happened that actually I have a Discord. I didn't even know. I must have signed up sometimes.
Yeah, you can do it in Discord. You can use OBS to stream Discord. Discord's a little bit slower. I've done that before, and then I can't draw while I do it because my computer slows down. But that works.
So what else works? Have you guys tried? I think I need to try.
Skype could even work, maybe. We would Skype and then stream that, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. The only problem is Skype is I think even more resource hungry than Discord. So.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
No. Okay. Then there's another one. I think it's quite popular. StreamYard or something like that. No.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that one.
I think I was like checking out OBS. Initially I thought OBS is going to have some Google Hangout things in it. So I was like, where is it? I can't find it. Then I realized, you have to open out Hangout and then sort of share that screen, and then you get the whole thing. So you need another thing. Also confusing. So I guess you guys know that I'm not really a gamer. I don't really play computer games. I think my first back then I believe it was a game called Dune. Are you guys that old?
Yeah, are you talking about Dune, the real-time strategy game?
Yeah. I think that's like the first kind of Warcraft kind of game. Even predates Warcraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the game that I played.
Was that the one made by Westwood Studios?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a precursor to Red Alert. You guys remember that? Or Command and Conquer.
Yeah.
Red Alert, yes. Yeah, so that is my era. So did I give away my so-called age?
Oh yeah, we're all in that boat.
We're
Definitely.
all in that damn.
Yeah.
The other day.
No, that's some deep lore there. Yeah, Dune was a long time ago.
Yeah, Dune was like, holy crap, it's like so long ago. Then after that, it's like, I think there's one that's quite nice, is Diablo.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is my era. That's the kind of game I played last time. So now I have no, I didn't really dealt with game anymore. Yeah. But anyway, now maybe now we are done with most of the thing. Now you are interested in quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
I think
yeah. What was the thing that you said? You said the double slit experiment. That you commented about that. So I googled it, but I don't really know that much about it. Do you want to talk about it briefly?
Huh? Oh, okay. So for a long time, I think they sort of say that light is like does it behave like a particle or is it a wave? Because we know, like, wave, if we like a water wave, if you put two slits and let them pass through, they will sort of intersect each other, and then sort of you can see the higher one will go higher than the lower will go lower, sort of like a waveform. You have different kind of hitting on the wall, you will see like a different kind of shadow kind of thing. So for a long time, they feel that light is behave like particles. No, it's just one particle. So if you shine the light through the holes, two very tiny slit, you should expect to see just two lines of kind of shadowy thing, like two lines kind of thing on the wall. But that actually doesn't happen. So they shine it through, they saw a wave pattern. That means a shadow that will be produced if light is a wave. So there's a kind of a wave pattern. But the thing is, only when you're trying to observe it, this pattern will appear. So if you don't try to observe it, the pattern is actually a particle pattern.
So that's weird.
So very weird. So only when there's an observer, then you'll get to see a wave pattern. If there's no no observer, or you're not observing it, you behave like a particle. And then things is even get even more weird kind of situation. You cannot really predict. So if there's an observer, you are able to observe. Okay, so it becomes two lines, right? So but then you cannot even predict if you shine through, or send a particle over one slit. You cannot even sort of like know where you end up with, in a way. So it's all about quantum mechanics is more probabilistic kind of thing. So it's a weird kind of thing, which they are saying that the particle can be simultaneously in multiple locations at any one time, and when you observe it, then you'll be locked down, kind of thing. So I tell you, it's simulation theory. No.
Yeah. That sounds like a little bit like the Schrodinger's cat, and a little bit like if a tree falls in the forest, doesn't anyone hear it? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, all sorts of crazy things. And sometimes I just listen to all these things. Quite interesting, quite funny. And have you?
I sent out a drunken tweet the other night, and I deleted it because it was too spicy, I thought. But because it's just like, I said something like, all fiction might change based on certain revelations of certain things come out. Like one example would be, I didn't say this, but I was sort of implying it. Like if we just all of a sudden realize that we are in a simulation, that would like change all fiction. I think it would kind of, people would stop writing about some of the stuff they're interested in now, and people would start writing about other stuff. But
yeah. And anyway, you guys experience deja vu, right?
Yeah. Is there a way to explain that?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you?
No, I can't explain it other than it's just weird, basically. Weird. I do like that the Matrix explains that, like within its lore, there's a way to explain it.
How about sleep? Why do we have to sleep? I don't think anyone know, right? It's like, Why can't?
Oh yeah. That is weird. And it's also weird what happens if you don't sleep. You know, you actually go insane.
Yeah. So what? But I think there are conditions where people don't sleep. Yeah, it is actually possible not to sleep. I think there are cases whereby people don't sleep. I remember.
Oh, like for years or
They can't
whatever.
fall
Like
asleep. Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
medical case. I don't know. Maybe again, now it could be your simulation theory. We sleep to save the computer some resource.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, well, nobody say that everybody's timeline is the same. You could be just living on your timeline. I don't know. No.
Oh yeah, that would be like infinite universe. Or I heard there was one about that which it kind of creeps me out, but it's like, the universe we're running is where we don't know it, but we're invincible in our universe. That's like a quantum mechanics thing. So like if you played Russian roulette with some people, you would be the one to win because you're living your universe where you play it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So people around you might die, but you're gonna live maybe forever or something. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's one of the scientists actually say that. It's almost like people around you die, but it's never you.
yeah.
Yeah. Until yeah. But you might die in another person point of view.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing. It's like, man, I want to test that, and as soon as you test it, you're like, well, I'm dead. I regret it. I regret trying to.
Precisely. Nobody will want to test that.
Yeah. Can't test
I certainly do not want to test that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of weird things, and of course the concept of infinity is also quite interesting. What is infinite? Yeah. So I mean, people talk about the universe. If it's like of course there are a lot of shape whereby the universe can be formed up. If let's assume it's this, but imagine it's more rounded. Can you see this? I'm not too sure. Okay,
wait, let me see.
I don't think you can see. Like a donut. If you're on a donut shape universe, whichever direction you go, you sort of like you can go round and round and round. Imagine you're walking on a donut. It's almost like infinite, right? If the shape is there, but the donut is actually a finite shape, right? But if you're on it, you go round and round. You can keep going round and round and round. It's almost like infinite, but it's actually finite. So it's quite interesting as well. Yeah. I think Matt Carson, are you still in the chat? I think he's into what? Is it giants or something like that? I'm not too sure. Is Matt around?
Oh yeah, Matt. I don't know. We'll talk to him about it if he's in here. With giants, there's the Nephilim. I don't know if you guys have heard of. That's the fallen angels from. They're like they're a deleted scene from the Bible. I think.
I see.
You know.
Okay. So
they have a very short mention somewhere in Genesis, but yeah, they don't talk about them a lot.
Yeah. I think they're in Antarctica.
Oh no, yes, and it's also very funny. When I was young, I always listened to. I mean, I'm Chinese, so it's there's like legends about Chinese gods and whatnot. So it's always like so silly, It's like they'll talk about a story whereby somebody left with a so-called a supernatural guy that goes up to the so-called the emperor, and then he left for one day. When he's back, it's already 7 days or 7 years, kind of thing. So it's like, it's so
okay.
It's so silly but now, if you think about it, it's like physics, right? Okay, if depending on the speed that you travel, you can relativity kind of thing. So it's like, whoa, holy shit! Could it? Then you kind of think of it. Yeah, I mean, people won't be that dumb to so-called write down stories as stories. I don't know. So it's like, yeah, there could be something into it. I don't know, but it could be thinking too much into it as well. It's just so interesting. I mean, to read stories. Yeah.
I definitely. It's okay to overthink stuff too.
Yeah.
and all the crazy stuff. Yeah. All right, guys. Shall we? Is it okay?
Let's give outros and bounce
Yeah.
out. This was a good session though, and yeah, like we're just kind of keeping everyone updated. I'm glad we're doing this. So
Yeah.
we'll try and do it again in a couple weeks, and
Yeah.
we'll get Matt in here,
Yeah.
and we'll have some more art to share.
Or maybe I just let me see whether I can find some thing to share as well. I think earlier on you show one from Cosson, right? The art.
Yeah.
Let me see whether I can. I think he has some earlier sketch as well. Oh, can you all guys see that? Oh no, I think it's only on OBS. So for the viewers, this is one of the early sketch that Matt did for the champion as well. So we are working on that as well. So there'll be a lot more on the concept art that is gonna come out. And we will do updates and we'll talk about it and we'll share about how we're gonna market it, how we're gonna do all the things. Some fun things. Yeah. Noah, take it away for your outro. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that sketch just popped up on the screen. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so outro for me, yeah, if you're watching the Narwhal Books on Twitter, and yeah, my campaign's still live. It got ordered, so the books are printing and the shipping. That process is like a 2-month process or even a little longer. So they'll be, in the next 6 to 8 weeks or so. I'll have them in my hand, and then I start mailing them out to you guys. And Tungsten's been one of my greatest supporters, so I'm looking forward to getting him his books. So whatever.
I'm a Narwhal complete. What's that?
Completionist.
Completionist. Yes.
Yeah.
A good word for stalker.
Yeah.
So Narwhal, I'm gonna play you the police song. I'm watching you. Yeah. Every breath you take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nate.
So subscribe to me on YouTube at Back to the Drawing Board. I'm on Twitter at Back to Draw. And if you're interested in the Hexwood project, I actually have a Twitter account called at Hexwood Post, which is the Hexwood Town newspaper. You can follow that if you want to get a little flavor for the story. I do something with that 2 or 3 times a week. So
yeah,
cool.
I'm gonna do one for Matt Cosson. I put his Instagram link in the description, and this is his Instagram so-called account. So check him out. Look at his awesome artwork. I mean, man, look at this. The tall. It's nice.
Yeah, it's so good.
And the strangest thing, oh goodness. Yeah, I showed it to one of my friends.
That Wonder Woman, I love that Wonder Woman. Matt draws great appeal, great pretty women and handsome men or whatever.
Yeah, there you go, Wonder Woman over here. Awesome artist. You can see his very nice kind of representation of his work here. Awesome guy as well. Yeah.
That Thor is great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Actually, I really like this cheetah character. It's like very cool looking.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, that's cool. He can do like lettering, traditionally. That's something we should try and take advantage of. Have the modded cover, have Matt draw it. Okay. Draw the letters too.
Yeah, that's great. So I think so check out his artwork, and hopefully we'll get him on stream. By the way, guys, is this timing a good timing or no?
I think it works for me. Well, it might be better than Fridays. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks, I guess. Yeah. We'll see. So
hopefully we'll get Matt on our channel eventually. Then our panel will be complete. Then we can talk a lot of crazy thing other than comic books. I really want to hear the giant stories or whatever Matt is into, or Star Trek. I don't watch Star Trek. I watch Star Wars. Anyway.
Oh classic.
Let's get him on, and he can tell us about Star Trek. I think he's into Star Trek, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Let's see whether he can convince us to watch Star Trek. But anyway, wonderful stream. Thanks guys for joining. So I am going to stop the OBS streaming now.